Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Drawing from Home. I'm your host, Miss Dillon. So today is going to be a little bit of a more difficult one, I'm going to say. So just like usual, go ahead and grab a paper, pencil, and something to color with. Now, just like usual, if you don't have something to color with, no worries. You can just go ahead and draw along with me. But if you do have something to go ahead and color with, go ahead and grab that now. Okay guys, so today what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to draw a sea turtle. Now I am publishing this for everyone K through 5th grade because, excuse me, because this can be done with more complexity, depending on your comfort level. And you'll see what I mean in a second here. So, when you go ahead and get your paper, what I want you to go ahead and do is make sure that the paper is long ways up, right? So you don't want it to be sideways. So you don't want it to be sideways, long ways. That's what I mean. So you don't want it to be like this, all right? You want it to be long ways up. So make sure that your paper is oriented the right way. And then grab your pencil and we're going to go ahead and start sketching. Now, like I said, we're drawing a sea turtle. And what some people always want to do when they do sea turtles is make it look more like a tortoise. Meaning like the little arms, the little head, that sort of thing. But with a sea turtle, and I'm sure we all know what sea turtles look like, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys an example, just real fast to refresh the memory. Let me go ahead and grab my picture here. This guy right here. A little blurry, but... So if you guys notice, they have really big oval shells. They're almost diamond shaped. And then they have really long flippers. They're very powerful flippers so they can easily swim in the water, right? So, with that in mind, we're going to start with the big basic shape, which, as I'm sure you've guessed, is the shell. So, about in the middle of your paper, keep in mind we're going to put the head up here, so make sure that you leave room for the head. So in the middle, you're going to do sort of a diamond shape. Now you can have the round edges a little rounded, and if it takes you a couple tries, no worries. So if it's easier for you, so I'm going to show you a couple different options. So this is kind of the shape that you want to go for. Something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we're just doing our sketch. The sketch is just sort of almost like a practice layer, and then we can go back in and erase and fix anything up. Right? So here's the shape we're going for. If it's easier for you, I'm going to make a new... Let's see. I'm going to make a new thing real fast so you guys can see an easier way to do it. Is if you need to make more of a triangle shape at first, just so you can have like a guideline. So we have a triangle shape here, and then kind of take the edges and round them out like this, and then erase the sharper edges. That's another way you can kind of do it. So again, to see this triangle shape here, I'm taking the sharp edge, and I'm adding almost like a curve to it, right? And then erasing the edge. So something like that, and then we can make this a little bigger. So something like that. Almost like a diamond shape, like I was saying before. So go ahead and do that now. It might take you a couple tries because this is the largest part of the sea turtle, and ergo will be the biggest part of our picture. So if it takes you a couple tries to do this, no worries. And I know for my younger kids watching, it's a bit more of a complex shape to draw. So again, make sure that you're using that triangle trick. And honestly, if it's really, really difficult, what you can do is just draw a circle. Or just draw a long oval. Alright? No worries. It does not have to look exactly like mine. just as long as you have some room for the shell. Alright? So go ahead and do that now. If you need a pause, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Go ahead and do that now. Alright, what we're going to go ahead and do now is, I'm going to move this guy a little bit more in the middle. We're going to do the head. Now the head's kind of a long, almost like a pointed oval. So you're going to go, it's going to be pointing up from the middle. So you're going to go in, again, kind of pointed. I'm going to do it a little longer actually. So something like that. A little pointed. Almost like a curvy upside down V. Not too sharp, but something like that. Okay. If that's too hard for you to do sort of the point at the side, you could just do an oval. Just like I know people have drawn turtles like this before, and that's totally fine. So draw sort of an oval popping out from the side. Up to you. But I'm going to keep this, because sea turtles have beaks. It's a little point, so they can eat stuff easily. Alright, so this is going to be another interesting shape. So what we're going to do is draw the large flippers on the sides. So they kind of extend from the top of the shell. So we're going to draw from here and from here. Alright, so kind of if you need to mark that very gently on your paper right now, go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is draw a diagonal line up and a diagonal line up. Something like that. And if you want to, for my older kids, what you can do is draw them a little curvy. Something like that. And you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So diagonal line going up the opposite way and diagonal line. And again, if you want to do it curvy. If you're comfortable doing more complex shapes, that's fine. And now what we're going to do is draw the rest of the flipper. So you're going to take the top line and you're going to extend it up a little bit, not too far, something like this. All right? And then you're going to curve it out like this. So see, something like that. So again, let me kind of show you one more time. If you want to, you can do just a straight line like this if it's easier. And then go back in and just kind of curve, make a curvy line up top so it's like a guideline. This is the top of the flipper. Something like that. And again, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. If yours kind of points up a little bit more, if it points down a little bit more, totally fine. Right, no worries. This is your art. You're not just copying me, you're just drawing along with me. I'm just teaching you how to at least draw a sea turtle. If yours looks a little different, totally cool. Right? So that's what you're going to do on either side. So again, on this side, you're going to bring it up a little higher. And it doesn't have to be exactly like this one, as long as it's kind of in the same, similar shape. It doesn't have to be the same shape. Then I'm going to bring it down, kind of curve it down a little bit. See, I'm running out of room here with my paper over here, so I'm going to have to squish his a little bit. That's fine. If that's happening with you too, don't worry too much about it. You could just kind of push the flipper a little down like that. Alright, so go ahead and do that. Again, if you need to pause the video while I move along, go ahead and do that now, but I am going to move forward. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and do now is connect this with this. Alright, and what we're going to do is sea turtles kind of have sort of jagged scales underneath their flippers. If I can grab a picture real fast. So something like this. So you see right here, it's not a straight line. They have these sort of jaggedness to them. Okay? So what we're going to do is kind of add like little bumps to show the idea of scales. And you don't have to have too many. Don't go too crazy. Don't like make them sharp like that, because then it starts looking sort of almost like, you know, bird wings. So just kind of gentle little curvy lines. and then kind of curving in to meet that other line. So again, on this one, so I'm just going to show you again. Curving lines, just, I'm not going too crazy, and then kind of connecting back to our original down here. And then we have the flipper. Alright, so don't think too much about this part. If you need to, for my younger kids, I know sometimes these sort of bouncy lines can be kind of hard. If you just want to do a straight line, that's cool too. You know, just kind of just fix up and close off that shape. Alright. If you want to try the bouncy lines, if you want to be a little closer with them, something like this, if that's easier for you, that's fine. Okay. And then, now that we're here, look at your flippers, see if there are any changes that you need to make. For example, I think this one is a little too small, at least near the elbow. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. So it's kind of almost as big as this one back here. Just going to fix that real fast. Same thing with yours. See anything that you need to fix. I'm just going to darken up my lines now that I'm happy with them. And you can do the same thing with yours. Excuse me. Once you are happy with how it looks, go ahead and go back in with your pencil and darken up the lines. So it's a little easier to color later. Alright. What we're going to do now is the bottom flippers. Now these guys are going to go down here. So they have these really long, powerful, they're almost like wings, to be honest with you, because they have to glide really fast through the water. Nice, powerful flippers in the front. So we're going to go ahead and do the back flippers are a little smaller. Almost think of them as rudders. You know, in a boat, it kind of changes direction, helps stabilize them. Now for these guys, these are much easier than the top flippers, so don't worry too much. So what we're going to do is a very triangular in shape. So we're going to go out, we're going to go in. So something like that. Okay. I'm going to make them a little longer, I think. So again, all we're going to do, going to go out, diagonal line, almost like a curvy V, and we're going to go in. So something like that. So see that V shape? So it's like a V that's kind of curvy. Something like that. Now if you want to, again for my older students, you can go ahead and, so for my younger students the V is just kind of like that. For my older students, if you want to I kind of softened up this point of the V a little bit. So what you can do is bring the V out and kind of soften up that edge so it's more of a curve. And that way it kind of almost looks like a U. But whichever is easiest for you, as long as it's long enough. Okay. And then of course we need the second one. So make sure, especially with this one, because these are kind of the stabilizers of the, you know, of our sea turtle when he's swimming, make sure they're kind of the same size. So I don't want mine to be super small over here. See how smaller that one is compared to this one. So I want to make sure it's about the same size. So that's the one thing I will say about these. Make sure they're roughly the same size. So see that one's a little longer. I'm just going to fix, and that's why, remember, we draw lightly. So in case we mess up, we can erase easily. Because see, I'm sure you're noticing, but as I'm drawing, I am messing up. Because that's what sketching is, you know? You're just kind of letting your pencil move, letting your ideas get out there, and then you can fix things out. So see, now I'm going back in and darkening things up that I like, erasing things that I don't, like that. Okay? Alright, so now our last thing before we do the inside of the shell. We're going to go ahead and do the tail. Now the tail's not too long, very, very tiny. All we're going to do is in the middle right here, do a very small shape like this. It's almost going to be like a smaller head, to be honest with you. So something like this. So almost like a U shape. So you can draw a U like this. I would do a little pointier. So again, almost like a mix between a V and a U, if that helps you think about it. It's kind of connecting it like this at the very middle. And that's where you should be. So again, I'm just going to darken up my lines while you guys do that. if you needed to pause the video, because the next part what we're going to do is decorate the inside of the shell. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to catch up, if you need to fix anything, if you need to rewatch anything. Go ahead and do that now. Whew, okay. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to outline the inside of our shell. So all we're going to do is we're going to go in and just kind of repeat the same shape on the outside as it is inside. And that sounds kind of weird, but all I'm doing, going in, making a rough outline of the inside. Something like this. Now this is where it's going to be a little different depending on skill level. Not even skill level, honestly, I mean grade level. If some of this seems a little bit too difficult for you to do, just take a breather and just design the inside of the shell as you will. Alright? And I'll show you a couple of different examples of how you can design it differently. But you should at least be able to do this little outline. So all I'm really doing is kind of making a little circle inside. And this is going to make sort of the border on the side of the shell. Right? Because I'm sure you guys have noticed sea turtle shells have sort of a side to them, almost like a different plane. So what we're doing right now, so let me get a different color so you guys can see, is we're making, so you have the shell shape here, we're making this part of the shell. So you see how these scales, I guess plates, I'm not really sure, yeah, the plates, the different plates, they have this sort of circle inside the shell, and then you have the outside of the shell itself. That's what we're drawing. Okay? So something like that. Just so you guys know what you're drawing. Nope, that was our first one. Okay. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, this is where it's going to get a little interesting. A little interesting. So, we're going to draw a straight line here, or we're going to kind of break this down. Let's do it a little lower. Straight line here. And a straight line here. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and do a diagonal line here. Diagonal line here. And again, just like usual, at any time you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it. And then I'm sure you've guessed we're going to connect these two. So we're going to go here, diagonal line, diagonal line. So you're going to have this sort of shape. If you need to do a couple more times, feel free to. Let me go ahead and draw that again so you guys, if you don't want to rewind the video. So straight line. Straight line. And it's going to be kind of small. This is the big major plate on the back of the back of the shell is what we're drawing here. But it's not going to be the whole thing, okay? So two straight lines, horizontal lines, okay? Remember, horizontal means left to right. And we're going to do a diagonal line this way, and a diagonal line this way. And then take these lines, diagonal line, connect them to that bottom straight line. Something like that. And then if you need to fix the sides, if anything's too sharp or too long, go ahead and do that now. I'm going to make this a little shorter, I think, just so it's a little bit more even from each side. So something like that, okay? So now what we're going to do, and my 3rd through 5th graders, we learned about this in the last video with the gemstones, but you guys are going to find each corner, so corner here. You guys are going to find those 4 corners, and you're going to connect them to the outer shell. So I'm going to go take this corner here, and I'm just going to make a diagonal line going up. I'm not going this way, I'm not going that way, I'm just going up. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm taking this corner, going up. Alright? Now, I'm going to ignore these two bottom corners. So I'm ignoring these two. I'm not going to do those right now. Okay? I'm going to do these two though. These two right here. So this one and this one. I'm just going to go ahead, same thing that I did with here, but I'm just going to connect it to the side. So this one here, this one here. Alright. Now, if you are having trouble with this, do not worry. I'm going to show you guys a different way to do it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's different ways to do this depending on your comfort level. So, you should at least have the outer and inner shell. What you can do, if you're not comfortable with doing these more complex shapes, that's fine. All you're going to do is do a diamond shape. So diamond is an upside down and right side up triangle. So something like that. Okay. But then you're going to do the same thing. This is the one thing that kind of push yourself on, okay? Is everywhere there is a corner. So I'm just going to mark them in red real fast so you guys can see. And if it helps you, you can mark them too with your pencil. You can erase them later. But just go ahead and mark them if you need some help. So at every corner, what you're going to do, so at this corner here, I'm just going to go up. This corner here, I'm going to go across. This one here, I'm going to go across. Like that. Now this one here, you're going to ignore for a second. And we'll get back to that one in a second. Because let's go back to the more complex one. Okay? Alright, so this is what you should have. If you're doing the sort of the harder one. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do two lines, a line here and a line here. Okay? Now you should only have two. Don't make them too close together because then you're going to have all of this negative space. Alright? So kind of make sure that you're splitting it accurately. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to replicate our sort of big shape here. Okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to take these edges here. So the edges that we didn't use, so this one and this one. What we're going to do is we're going to make a diagonal line, and then I'm sure you've guessed, but we're going to take these and connect them with the ones down here. Okay, so let me repeat that. So again, if you need to, mark the edges of your big plate here. So the edge here, and then basically if you're confused about what I'm pointing out, is where these two lines meet and makes that sort of corner here. Okay? So we've got a corner here, we've got a corner here. Diagonal line down, and then we're going to take another diagonal line and connect it to the line that we made. Okay, and now look, we have another plate. A little bigger than this one, that's totally fine. They don't have to be even. So the same thing down here, right? So we got two new corners. So we got a corner here, we got a corner here. Diagonal line, and then we're going to take two more diagonal lines and meet them in with this line here. Right here, right here. Voila. And then I'm going to go ahead and erase the markings that I had here. It's going to darken up anything that I want to keep. I'm going to make this a little longer, I think. And same thing with you guys, anything that you need to fix real fast. Now I know this can be a little tricky, but just think of it as connecting those corners and making lines. That's all this is taking those corners and making straight lines. If you need to rewatch that part a couple more times, totally fine. Alright? So that's what it should look like. For anyone who still can't do it, totally fine. Let's go back to our simpler one. So let's go ahead and erase those bright reds. So now that we have our diamond shape here. That's connecting here, here, here. All you're gonna do is you're gonna make another diamond that is touching this one, this edge here, okay? So I'm gonna do sort of another big circle so you guys can see. So just gonna make a diamond, so make our sort of triangle shape here, and then an upside down triangle shape for our diamond. So something like that. I'm sure you've guessed, but we're going to do the same thing that we did up here with these guys here. So all you're going to do is take the corners of your diamond and then make them touch the edge of our encircled stuff, and then take this edge and go down. So it should look something like that. And make sure when you're doing this, you're not going outside the shell, outside sort of into the outer shell, because we're going to decorate this a little different. So something like this. So again, anyone who's not comfortable with doing the more difficult, more complex shapes, no worries at all. Again, I know I'm publishing this for K through 5th grade, so I do have some younger students. This looks just as good. It's a little easier to draw. Okay. Now, for those of you who are doing the more complex shapes, let's go back to that and finish that up. Younger students, if you want to pause there, take a look at that while I do this. Alright guys, so I'm sure you've already guessed what we're doing. We're going to take the corners of the shells here and connect them to the inner ring. So just like that. Connecting, connecting. Perfect. So all of these guys on the sides should be horizontal and connect to the outer ring. And again, make sure you're not doing all the way outside here because we're doing something else different out here. But for these guys on the bottom, this is a diagonal line. So once you reach the very end, make sure this is a diagonal going down like that. That's how it should look like. So take a moment to do that. Again, make sure that you're connecting each corner. So you got a corner here, here, here. There'll be kind of a lot of corners. The only ones that you're not going to do are the ones that have already connected with the inside shell, of course, because there's no, I mean, you can't really, there's not a lot of room. So go ahead and do that. If you need to rewind the video, go ahead and do that too. But that's what it should look like. Alright, now the last step what we're going to do when we're going to go ahead and draw it is the outer shell, and this is super easy. All you're going to do is do lines going around. Now notice I'm changing the direction of my line depending on where the shell is. I'll just do it again on the other model. So it should look something like that. Okay? Because again, if we look at our Seaturtle here, they are straight lines going to the edge. Alright? Let's go back to our... So that's a pretty simple step. So for our more simple one, so when you're at the top, do straight lines going up, so vertical lines. But as you're getting to the side, if you try to do a vertical line, you'll see it's kind of like be really long. Don't do that. You want to make sure that you're kind of tilting your line so you can still fit it inside. So, and then this way, this one's going to be horizontal. So on this side of the shell, it's going to be this way. So doing horizontal lines, remember left to right is horizontal. And then as you're getting near the flippers, they're going to be more diagonal. So that's slanted. And as you're getting to their tail and head, that's going to be vertical. So this is a good reminder of vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines. So again, near the sides, it's going to be horizontal. Near the flipper, it's going to be diagonal. You see how that's going? To something like that. Just remember, flipper, it's going to be diagonal lines. So these. The side, the long side, is going to be horizontal. And then the head and tail, so the tail and the head, those guys are going to be vertical. So up and down. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we are done drawing. So now if you have things to color with, that is wonderful. If you don't, no issues there. You can be done. But if you do want to go ahead and color with me, that's awesome. Feel free to. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Seaturtle's coming in a couple different colors. Let's go ahead and do, let's do kind of an orangey guy. So, because our example guy it's kind of a brown orange, and that's fun. So we're going to go ahead and get some oranges, browns, and greens from your colors. And I'm going to start off with the shell. So let's go ahead, I'm going to do this light orange on the edges. And I mean, honestly, if you want to color your friend whatever colors you want, that's totally fine. But I'm going to honor our example friend that we had. And he's kind of an orange, so I'm going to do that. But if you want to make a green sea turtle, if you want to make an abstract sea turtle and make them rainbow, you know, go crazy. Up to you. This is your sea turtle. It's not my sea turtle. This is my sea turtle, but the one that you just drew, that's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with the lighter color, maybe more of a yellowy for the inside. And then what you can do is make each plate, what I would like to do is make each plate a slightly different color. So I'm going to do these center plates, kind of a more yellowy orange. And then, let's see, maybe more of a yellow for these guys. Yeah, I kind of like that. Kind of a goldy mustard yellow. I'm going to do this really fast so you guys can see the end product. I know, a little cheating on my part, but just so you guys can see. Alright. And then let's go ahead, let's see our example again. He has some darker scales down here. So let's go ahead and make him a little darker brown. I'm going to try this color, let's see how this looks. That's not too bad. I'll make him a little bit more vibrant orange though. I'm not really liking that too much. It looks okay. Or maybe let's see a green. Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. Let's see. No, I like the yellow. Yeah, something like that's okay. I'm gonna do all the flippers that color. And then the head, it's about the same color too. I'm actually gonna make the head these orange colors to make it a little different from the flippers. You know, see, this is the creative process, trying to find those different colors that you like. So you're seeing me, because you guys always see me sort of with my finished products, you know? But you don't see me sort of struggling with colors or how to sketch things. So this is kind of good for you guys to see this too. See, I think, yeah, I kind of like the orange a little bit better. That dark brown wasn't quite working. And let's see, we'll do maybe the dark, yeah, that kind of looks nice. Do this, that for the tail, yeah. And again, this is just mine. Feel free to do what you will with yours. Yeah, I like that. And then one more thing you can do is, obviously, they have scales on their flippers and their head. What you can do, and what I'm going to do right here, is I'm going to go in with a darker color. So this is a darker orange than the flippers, and all I'm going to do is draw like, so for scales, I mean, usually you want to do circles like this, kind of pokey dotty shapes. That's fine. You can do more rectangular shapes. There's a couple different ways to do this. I'll show you guys some examples. So some rectangular shapes, because sea turtles, most of them are sort of rectangular in shape, those big scales. Do some different sizes, so play around with scale. So remember, scale is how, you know, sizes change, how some are bigger than one another. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And maybe do some circles for variety, some little dots. So these big sort of things here. If it's easier for you, you can do the circles, nothing wrong with that. So you can do circles in here, but again, play with size and shape. Do some big, some small, something like that. Okay. But I think for my turtle, I'm gonna go ahead and do the squares. I think that's working better with my colors I chose. But if you like how the circles look better, no worries, you can go ahead and do that. Something like this, and add some little scales on the bottom there. And I'm going to do a little bit on the back flippers here. Obviously these are a little smaller, so you're not going to have as much room for scales. That's okay. If you can only fit circles in here, if that's a little easier for you to draw, that's fine, of course. So something like that. Okay? Now, let's see. I think one thing I kind of forgot to mention is, now that I'm looking at this, is they do have some white in the flippers, so at the edges. If you want to add that, that's cool. So all that means is, and I'll show you guys before we start the video, I'll kind of put up an image of what it looks like so you guys can see where the white goes. I'm just going to put out the very, very edge of my flippers. If you need to erase stuff that you've already done to fit those in, that's fine. And then they kind of have white around their faces too. Just add some little scales here. So just like some little dots to show that off. Just some white. I'm gonna do it around the shells too. Just kind of outline some stuff. And again, this is sort of an organic creature. Things don't have to be symmetrical. At least the patterns don't. Everything is going to be a little different. No sea turtle will look exactly like the same other one. So something like that, I think. And then for the eyes, because we're looking at the sea turtle from above, it's going to be kind of hard to see them because they have their eyes are on the, oh my goodness, not like that. Their eyes are on the very side. If you want to, you can add cartoony eyes, something like this. And 3rd through 5th graders could probably recognize, remember we did the koi fish, I think a week or two ago. All it's really going to be is like a kind of a cut off curvy line like this, okay? Almost like a circle that's been cut in half. So something like that. And then you can do like little pupils looking forward or whatever. But up to you. I think I'll go ahead and color mine in. So something like that. If you don't want the eyes, that's cool. Again, you're not going to see too much of them anyway. I'm just kind of adding them for style. Totally fine if you want to leave them though. I know some people like having more of a cartoony look. That's totally cool. I'm coloring mine in black, but if you want to color them in a brighter color, so if you want to do like green or something, that's cool. The green looks kind of cool actually. I like that working with orange. Yeah, I like that. And then you can do the scales up here too. Because these scales are the same color as the head, I'm gonna do maybe some lighter scales. So maybe, yeah, something like this. I'm gonna do the circles for the head because I don't have much room for the squares up there. And then add some different colors on the sides here. And I think that's about done. I kind of like that. And of course, as usual, it would be wonderful to see a background. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this up with blue. And of course this will be easier for me because I'm on a digital thing. It's a little easier to color this in. If you do not want to color the background, for once I will say that's totally fine. Because I know it's kind of a lot. You can cut out your sea turtle and hang it up. That'd be kind of cool. If you want to... I'm trying to think of what else you could do with the background. But I mean really it's just going to be... They're swimming. If you want them to be on a beach... Now remember we're looking down on them. So you can have sort of a beachy... That's not a beach color at all. It's more green. There you go. So you can have it like this, and then you can have like tracks where he's been, because you know it's getting sea turtle season, so you can have like ripples in the sand, that kind of stuff, if you want to do something like that. But I think for mine, I'm just gonna have sort of a sea blue in the background, and then you could do different varieties of blue. I know some people like doing gradients, so maybe if you want to do that, and go some darker blues like that. The blue looks really good with the orange that we've used, so I'm just going in and making it a little darker, getting a little bit more purple in there as we're going down. A little darker, because remember, purple is naturally our darkest color. And voila, look at that, we got our sea turtle. Okay, looks great. I hope everyone's turned out good as well. I know, again, this is a little bit of a harder one, but after we've done a couple of these videos, I wanted to kind of challenge you guys a bit. So, as usual, I will see you guys later. Anything that you guys want to share with me, I would love to see your finished products. Go ahead and send it to me on Prep Connect or through email, and I will see you guys next time. Have fun drawing.